Are you looking for a job but not really sure where to begin? Don't worry, I'm here to help. In this video, I'm going to share with you how to create a job search strategy along with the 5 things you need to get crystal clear on before even sending your resume. Hi, I'm Angel Santiago, founder of the mentorship platform WAYAHEAD and your personal mentor. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button and turn the bell notifications on. Every week, I'll be making videos to help you navigate life, career, and everything in between. Before jumping into the tips, I can't stress how important preparation is. If you just start throwing your resume out there blind, hoping to get hired, you're never going to get the job. And this is really important to remember. A recent study done by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation along with some of their partners found that 85% of people are unhappy with their jobs. So the time you spend preparing for your job search is time well spent. So now that we got that out of the way, let's jump into the 5 things you need to get crystal clear on before you send out your resume. Number 1, skills, interests, and titles. Now this is where we start defining what it is that we have to offer to our future employers. If you've already had a couple jobs, this is probably going to be a little easier for you, but if you're going after your first real job, this might take some upfront time. So it's really important for you to start documenting and writing down what is it that you're good at, what are your strengths and your weaknesses, along with your interests. The last thing you want to do is get a job that you hate because you didn't take the time to really understand what you were passionate about. And then the other point here to make is you need to be able to translate your skills and your interests into job titles. What jobs value what you bring to the table? Once you have all of these 3 things together, then you're able to start formulating an idea around what jobs you should be going after. Figuring this out doesn't have to be difficult. An easy way for you to do this is write a list of your skills and write a list of your interests and see where they meet. If you find that you're an organized person and you love interacting with people, that could be almost anything. So it really depends on what other things, what other factors you bring to the table, like your education or your experience. For someone who's organized and likes to talk to people, that could be a role as an executive assistant, or that could be a role as a director at a Fortune 500 company. So you have to kind of weigh those things. Once you understand your skills and your interests, then you should start playing around with different search engines like Google or using LinkedIn or Indeed to see where these words are popping up. If you find, again, that you're interested in budgets or cost analysis or something along those lines, you can start typing these things into Indeed or LinkedIn to see what jobs are popping up. Once you have the jobs and you're like, well, this sounds like something I could do, then you can start creating a list of keywords. And that list of keywords is going to come into play later when you actually start writing your resume and tailoring it to the jobs that you're going after. Number 2 is timeline. And this is a really important one for us to get crystal clear on because this is an area where you and your potential employer could actually have competing interests. We could break timeline down into 2 categories, personal and professional. Your personal timeline are all of the things that you need, right? You have bills to pay, you have a family to feed, you have personal fulfillment that you're interested in. And then professional timelines are all of the things that you care about professionally, along with the industry or the company that you're trying to move into. So if you currently have a job, things to consider in your professional timeline are going to be things like giving 2 weeks notice. Another key thing to consider with your timeline are the recruitment processes in place for a lot of these different roles and companies you might be going after. An example that comes to mind is going after a job at Google or Facebook or any of the other FAANG companies. They are notorious for having really long recruitment processes because they want to make sure that you're the right candidate. So what this means for you is that no matter how great a candidate you are, you're going to be waiting at least a month and a half before they make you an offer, potentially even more. Another thing to look at here are going to be external factors that are out of your control and your potential employer's control. We're living in the best example I could ever give you, and that's COVID-19. Companies couldn't anticipate the impact that COVID-19 was going to have on their operations, and that in turn trickles down to you as an applicant. So as companies are reeling from COVID-19, trying to figure out what their next steps are, chances are is they've actually slowed down on recruitment. But it's not all bad news. While some companies have completely stopped recruitment in response to COVID-19, other companies have actually had to ramp up their recruitment to be able to fulfill the new needs. And that's just the ebbs and flows of finding a job. So it's really important that as you consider your timeline, you're taking all of these different things into consideration. Number 3 is industry. Now, the role that you're interested in might exist across many different industries. And while fundamentally the role might be the same, the context in which you're doing your job is a little bit different. And this is really important because just because you enjoy being a software engineer at a tech company doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to enjoy being a software engineer at an automotive company or at a healthcare company. And I think a lot of people, what they do is they just look at the title and they say, hey, my skills and my interests line up, I'm gonna go after this, without really taking into consideration the ecosystem that they're fitting into. So before you start sending your resume to all of these different jobs that line up and that you feel you're qualified for, take a second and look at the industries that you're applying to. Look at the different companies that fit into these industries and try to understand the big problems they're trying to solve. You should be excited by a majority of the problems that the companies you're applying to are trying to solve, or you're gonna end up getting bored pretty quickly. Number 4, companies. Now that you've taken the time to research the different industries, you should also take the time to research the key players within that industry, especially the ones that you're interested in applying to. So go on their websites, read their mission and their vision pages, and really try to understand how they contribute to the bigger picture. The other thing to do here for the companies that you're interested in is trying to understand what their primary business is. So here's an example. If you're interested in healthcare, a healthcare company might also do tech, but their primary business is still healthcare. And the reason this matters to you is because when it comes to funding, when it comes to recruitment and then retaining talent, they're usually always going to put funding and effort and focus on their primary business. And number 5, expectations. So you've taken the time to do your research. You know your skills, your interests, and the titles that you want to go after and the timeline that you're playing with. You also understand the industries and the companies that you're interested in. It's really important that you start managing your own expectations from the very beginning. This is where you really start to understand what your goals are. Okay, with this new job that you're going after, what are your salary expectations? What level do you want to come in as? If this is your first job, then obviously it's going to be entry level. But if you're looking at a job maybe 3 or 4 years post-college or post-high school where you have a couple years under your belt, you really need to start thinking about this before you even start talking to a recruiter or sending your resume out to places. Not level setting on your own expectations before starting your job search is the #1 way to set yourself up for failure. Because what happens a lot of times is we apply to jobs and we build up this image in our head about what that's going to be like if we do end up getting the job. A recruiter reaches out to us, we go through the process and they give us an offer, and it's not what we expected. And unfortunately, you just wasted your own time and the company's time, which is money as well. Do your research, especially when it comes to salaries. For general positions, you can look at websites like Glassdoor or LinkedIn to try to understand what the salaries are in a particular area for that role. If you're interested in tech, there are other sites like levels.fyi, candor.co, and teamblind.com. Or you could also try to build rapport with people currently at that company. I wouldn't lead with a salary conversation, but if you know somebody at a company and you can talk to them a little candidly and ask them what you could expect, that could also be a great way for you to manage your own expectations. So there you have it, the 5 things you need to get crystal clear on when creating your job search strategy. Looking for a job is hard enough. Don't make it harder by not coming up with a plan that you can take action on. If you enjoyed this video, hit the subscribe button and turn the bell notification on, because every week I'm making videos just like it. And if you know somebody who needs some help with finding a job, please share this video with them. I'd love to hear from you in the comment section below. Let me know how this video helped you and how I can help you in the future.